2, 1.
Hey everybody, BJ Ike with LearnLivestockPhotography.com coming at you with this week's Q&A video. And your question this week is, how do you deal with the snow? It presents a lot of interesting challenges to a livestock photographer. We're going to get into all those, but first, real quick, want to tell you about a couple things. Number one, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search Learn Livestock Photography. We don't have enough people there yet to get a custom name for the page, so go there and subscribe. We've got dozens of videos already loaded for you. Our best free content is living on YouTube. That's where you're going to find and watch all of it. Number two, got a special promotion going on this month. Trip is a little annoyed that we're filming in here, I think. Number two, we have half off on all of our courses for the month of January 2021. So there's still about 10 days to get in on the half off all our entry level courses. So that's mastering manual mode. That's all of the basics about how to run your camera. DSLR video, introduction to DSLR video, and getting started with camcorders. All of those three courses are half off for the month of January. Okay, got that out of the way. Let's talk about snow. Here's the deal. Snow is beautiful, but it creates some real challenges. So we want to talk about several points. Number one, exposure check. Snow, a big white blanket of snow, especially if the sun pops out on top of it, puts a lot of light in your scene. And so you can come up with this really high contrast situation. Even if the sun's not out, you've got dark colored animals, red, black, right? And you're trying to picture them on this pristine white backdrop. And you've got this very high amount of contrast. So you got to do an exposure check. What I do is when the animal runs in, I just take a picture of it. Doesn't matter if it's standing in the right direction or not. I want the sun on its side, and I take its picture and I punch into that picture and I make sure, are my highlights blowing out? Are they clipping? Are the shadows too dark? Is there any definition in the shadows? Those are the things that I want to look at when I do my exposure check, because I want to create a nice, even exposure in my image. Another thing to consider when we have the snow is, how do you decide, are we going to bed the picture area or not? I think that when we're considering that, there are lots of things to think about. How many animals do we have to photograph? Are they going to track it up and make it a muddy or icy mess? Number two, how much snow do we have? Is there 10 inches of snow? Because if there is, we probably just need to move it and create a bed to picture those animals on. The picture up here is one I just took a couple days ago. There's just about a ½ inch of snow on the ground. You can still see the grass sticking up through it. I'd say in that kind of 3 inches and less range, if you don't have very many to do, you can definitely just take them on top of the snow. It can make some really memorable photos. You can get some super unique, really memorable photos. But going back a step to exposure, like we've got this Hereford bull, his white face, his white belly, his white feet, you want to make sure that those aren't just all blending together with the snow. So getting that exposure right is really critical when you've got these high contrast scenes on those snowy days. In this case, 1 inch of snow, ½ inch of snow, you've still got grass sticking through everywhere. That gives that background some texture, right? And so that helps keep that background from blowing out. And so in this case, we chose not to bed our picture area. Anytime I have more than 8 or 10 to do, I'm gonna probably want to bed that picture area, or anytime there's more than 3 or 4 inches of snow. Of course, when we get into the time of year where we can have snow, we have all the problems that come with snowy weather. Number one is cloudiness. You have a lot of overcast skies when you got snow on the ground in the wintertime. And so that can, while you're getting some extra light coming up, bouncing back up into the scene from the snowfall, It doesn't really help if you got dark dreariness, you've got a lot of humidity, and you can get fog coming up in the wintertime, and that'll play a lot of havoc on your photos and how they turn out. Usually you have this really gray sky, you'll have this really cool color temperature to your images, so they'll be kind of blue. And so those are things you'll need to look at in post-production about how you'll correct them. A big thing, two other big things that can happen, when you get those cloudy skies, your autofocus can have trouble actually pulling focus because autofocus works on contrast. And when you have a really high contrast scene of a dark black animal and all this white snow out there, that autofocus may not be picking up enough contrast on the dark colored animal because it just is reading it all as black or dark, and so it can't see because there's just not enough light in the sky to make the autofocus work. And of course, the other thing you're going to have is snow flurries. Now, I've taken a lot of pictures in the snow flurries, and it's hard for me to say how much snow is too much snow, other than if your autofocus quits working, you're probably getting too much snow because it's trying to read all those snowflakes. What happens when you're picturing the snow is that every snowflake between me and my subject, or between my lens and my subject, you see it in the frame, and so you'll see all these dots coming across the animal. You have to make that call when you're taking pictures if that's too much snow or if you think it looks cool. But those are a lot of the considerations that we're looking at when we have snowy weather. Like I said, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You'll get all of our best free content there, and make sure that you check out those sales we have going on for the month of January.